What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler and these are the sneaker releases that you need to know about in March 2023. But before we get any farther into the video, I want to give a huge thank you to Sole Premise for supporting the channel. As you guys know, Sole Premise is my go-to bag company for all of my bag needs, whether it's for day-to-day traveling, going to work and back, or going on a longer trip like a 3-week vacation too. I don't have any vacation plans, but if I did, I would take a Sole Premise bag. Probably the duffel, personally. I love the duffel. But this black monogram bag is my daily carry. I bring this with me wherever I go, whether it's to work or just to the thrift store or something like that. As you can see right now, I've got 2 pairs of sneakers. I've got the Nike React Invincible Run 3s, and of course my pair of New Balances in the bottom. And then in the back of the bag, I've got my laptop. And then in the front of the bag, I've got my laptop charger and my phone charger. And then if I did want to bring my second laptop with me, if you have 2 laptops, or maybe a laptop and an iPad, you have a second laptop sleeve right there in the back of the backpack. And just like all of Sole Premise's other bags, this bag is TSA approved, which means you can bring it onto the airplane with you as a carry-on, which is awesome. And if you guys want to check out Sole Premise for yourself, I've made sure to leave a link to them in the top of the description below. And make sure to use my discount code SETH for 40% off your entire order. Whether it's 1 bag or 10 bags, use my discount code SETH and you get 40% off, which is crazy. Starting things off on March 1st, we've got the women's Nike Zoom Vomero 5 in black. The Nike Zoom Vomero 5 is a shoe that's taking the sneaker world by force. It's not incredibly hyped up at the moment, but it's definitely increasing in popularity, and there are a lot of reasons for that. The first being that it looks really good and it's definitely trendy, and it's also incredibly comfortable on foot. There's something about that retro running sneaker vibe that I think a lot of people are drawn to right now, and this shoe absolutely embodies that. Now the black version of the shoe probably won't be as popular as the silver version just because you can't see a lot of the paneling on the upper, but overall it's a very clean shoe. I love the cream colored midsole and the gum outsole, and I definitely think it's going to be a popular sneaker, but I just don't see this shoe selling out, and so for that reason I'm giving this shoe a 6. Next up, also dropping on the 1st, is the Nike Air Max Scorpion Barely Volt. So this shoe is like the flagship Nike Air Max sneaker, released at the end of last year, and before the shoe came out, I was incredibly excited for it because of how absolutely insane it looks. Unfortunately, after wearing the shoe for a couple weeks, and actually around a month, I just found it to be not that comfortable on foot, at least not what I was hoping for. When you look at the shoe, it looks like you're gonna walk on clouds, literally, or pillows, or something like that, but it really just kind of feels like a sort of stiff sneaker. And that's because there's this very stiff strobo board right underneath your foot that prevents the shoe from creasing in the way that I think it should be able to crease and flex. And because of that, it's just kind of like like a stiff trampoline, which is not a bad feeling on foot, but it's just not as comfortable as I was hoping. Not only that, it's a newer Air Max model, and for a lot of people, if it's not limited or a really great looking colorway or the first version of that model, they're just not interested. So for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a 6. And then finally, rounding off March 1st, we've got the Nike Air Force 1 Low Undefeated collaboration in Fauna Brown. So this shoe comes in a glossy patent leather upper accented by crazy colors. In fact, each panel of the shoe is a different color, which makes it a very vibrant and wild looking sneaker. In fact, the part of the shoe that draws my attention the most is actually the midsole, which comes in neon green. I actually really kind of like the way this sneaker looks. It's not a shoe that you can wear every single day because of how colorful the shoe is, but I definitely think it's something that Undefeated fans and fans of brightly colored sneakers will be into. And of course, because it's an Undefeated collaboration, it will be relatively limited. If I had to pick one part of the shoe that I like the most, that's probably the contrast between the blue and the pink against like the darker colors on the rest of the shoe. You've got like black and brown on the upper, and then that's contrasted by the bright blue toe, the yellow tag on the top of the sneaker, and also the pink Nike swoosh. Those are just cool parts of the shoe that I like. I like the interaction between the darker and lighter colors. I don't know, it's just an interesting sneaker overall. Again, not something I would wear every day, but something that I wouldn't mind having in my sneaker collection for retail. I would probably not pay resale for this shoe. That being said, if you don't grab this shoe on release day, you're probably going to have to pay resale because I do think this sneaker will sell out. However, I don't think resale is going to be that much over retail, and possibly in the next couple weeks it could even dip below retail. I'm not sure. But either way, initially I think this shoe will sell out, and so I'm giving this shoe a sell. But now moving on to March 2nd, we've got the Adidas Harden Volume 7 in Better Scarlet. So I am a diehard Sixers fan. This is a shoe that I honestly wouldn't consider if James Harden wasn't on the team. Nothing against the shoe, but it's not really something I could see myself wearing casually. But because Harden is a Sixer and he's playing very well, so shout out to James Harden. I love James Harden as a player. This shoe is probably something that I will try and pick up just to try it out, just to see if it's something I can play basketball in. I mean, let's be honest, it's not going to be something I'm going to wear casually, but I am interested to try this shoe out purely for on-court purposes only, which I think is exactly what it's for. So this colorway of the shoe is covered in almost entirely bright red, or I guess Better Scarlet is the official name of the shoe, and it definitely matches with those red Sixers jerseys, which I think is the reason that they did this. It also kind of ties into the Rockets a little bit if you're like a hardened Rockets fan, but either way, I think it's a bright but decent looking sneaker and something that I will probably try and grab. However, because it is a performance model and Hardens just aren't really that popular in terms of, I guess, lifestyle sneakers, I just don't see this sneaker selling out, so for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a sit. And then rounding off March 2nd, we've got the women's Air Jordan 12 Amamaniere Black Burgundy Crush. So this is actually a sneaker that I've already done a full review on, and if you guys want to check out that full review, there will be a link at the top of the screen. And I've got to say, this shoe is surprising. Like, it was a shoe that I saw online, I was not that excited about, and then I got it in hand and was like, this is actually decent. If I could grab a pair of these in my size for retail, I'm gonna go for it. That's actually been the case for me with a lot of the Amamaniere Air Jordan sneakers. The 3s I loved right off the bat. I actually love the 2s right off the bat. The 1s I wasn't sold on until I got them in hand. Same thing with the 4s. Interestingly enough though, now that I've had the 4s, I think they're my second favorite Amamaniere collaboration after the 3s. But they're all good. Amamaniere has just knocked it out of the park consistently with all of their Air Jordan collaborations, and this 12 is no different. Now this black colorway probably is not going to be as popular as the white colorway that comes out in the next couple months, but either way, it's a great looking sneaker. I love the black suede used on the upper. I love the super hairy burgundy suede used on the mudguard. Very, very clean. And all around, it's a great quality Air Jordan 12, and if you like Air Jordan 12s, this shoe is a must-have. Now unfortunately, if you want to grab a pair of these, they're not going to be easy to grab. It's a relatively limited sneaker, and a lot of people will be going for it. So for that reason, I'm definitely giving this shoe a sell, and most likely you're gonna have to pay resale. But the good news is the resale right now isn't that crazy. Oh, I should also mention before I forget, if you guys want to grab any of the shoes mentioned in today's video, I've made sure to link as many as I possibly could through the YouTube shopping tab, which you guys can find by clicking on the link somewhere on this video. I think it's the bottom right corner. Pretty sure? I guess it depends if you're looking at it on mobile or desktop, but either way, it's on the screen somewhere. But now, moving into March 3rd, the first release is the Nike Air Foamposite 1 in tech gray. So being from Baltimore originally, I've always had kind of a fondness for not only New Balances, but also Foamposites. And while this Foamposite colorway is not something that I think I'd usually go for, because I haven't had a pair of Foamposites in a really long time, I'd kind of like to grab this shoe just to kind of relive some of the Foamposite days. I don't know what about it I like so much, but there's something about it that just kind of draws me in. So initially I thought this shoe was supposed to be sort of an All-Star Weekend Foamposite. Obviously All-Star Weekend is over, so it's not the case. However, this shoe definitely has that sort of Galaxy Foamposite vibe. The Galaxy Foamposite is probably my favorite Foamposite of all time, and definitely still a grail of mine. One that I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get, but a shoe that I still really love. This shoe comes in a primarily gray look with this sort of interesting futuristic liquid pattern on the side of the shoe that I don't know if a lot of people are going to be into it now, but at the same time, I kind of dig it. You know what, the more that I think about it, if I'm going to grab a pair of Foamposites, I might grab the CDGs from last year. I really dug those and I completely forgot about them, so maybe I'll grab that instead. I don't know, either way, I think people are going to be interested in this shoe. I think it's going to be more popular than a Foamposite's been in a while, but at the same time, I just don't know how popular that actually is, so for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a sit. It'll probably move, and it might sell out in a couple days after release, but initially I think it's going to sit. Actually, you know what? After doing some more research on this shoe, it might actually sell. I think there are some people who are pretty stoked on this shoe, and resale on GOAT and StockX right now is higher than I would have thought, like $350 for a $250 shoe. Obviously it'll drop once the shoe releases, but it might actually sell. So let me change the rating. I think it's gonna be a sell. Maybe not like a crazy sell, but a sell nonetheless. Also dropping on the 3rd, we've got the women's Air Jordan 14 Metallic Silver. As you could guess from the name of the shoe is a metallic silver Air Jordan 14. It's a little crazy, it's a little bright, but there are people out there who love that. And the Air Jordan 14 is genuinely a very underrated shoe, especially nowadays. I feel like people are missing one of the best Jordans out there. But still, regardless, I don't think this colorway is that great. I don't think that many people are that excited about this shoe, and because of that, I'm giving this shoe a sit. And then finally rounding off March 3rd, we've got another drop that isn't sneakers, and that's the Apothecary Script drop, which I'm actually wearing right now. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've been wearing these Script Apothecary hoodies for like a year now. The blue one in particular because we got that one first, but for a long time they were just samples. But we actually started to get a lot of interest on these hoodies and an entire Script collection, so we decided, you know what, you guys want it, so we'll make it. So that's exactly what we did. We made a full collection based on the Apothecary Script logo. So we've got 2 hoodies, this forest green and a navy blue, and of course we've got an entire sock collection. Personally, I love the simplicity of the sock collection. We do a lot of bright and crazy limited collections, but this limited collection in particular is very simple, very clean, very easy to wear, and I just think it looks great. The 4 colors of socks that are dropping are a cream, a black, a gray, and this really nice sort of soft maroon color, which I really love. And just like all of our other socks, they're incredibly comfortable and they pair very well with your sneakers. That's why we call them your sneakers favorite socks. And also, like I already mentioned, we've got the 2 different hoodies dropping as well, and they're both thinner hoodies, which is really great for spring and summer, so you're not gonna overheat. You can rock them on like cooler spring days. But this entire collection drops on March 3rd, which is this upcoming Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Apothecary.com. So if you guys want to grab any of the pieces from the collection, make sure to be on the website right at 11 a.m. Eastern Time because the collection will move quickly. Moving on to March 4th, we've got the women's Nike Dunk Low Sand Drift. So this shoe is essentially a tan suede Nike Dunk Low, and I actually kind of dig it. At first glance, it looks a little boring, it looks a little simple, but when you look close up, you start to see all the suede details and the nice subtlety and color differences. It's a very clean shoe, but unfortunately, it's only coming out in women's sizing. However, even though there is a slight decline in the popularity of Nike Dunks, maybe not slight decline, there's a decline in the popularity of Nike Dunks, I still think this shoe will probably end up selling out, and for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a sell. Also dropping on March 4th, we've got the Nike Air Max 1 Liverpool Football Club LeBron James. So I actually didn't know until recently, but LeBron James is a part owner of the Liverpool Football Club, and because of that, he's releasing a special Nike Air Max 1 to honor that, I guess, collaboration? The shoe comes in the color scheme of Liverpool's Champions League jerseys, and because of that, it comes in this really nice white and forest green, accented by this dark maroon color. It's actually a pretty dope Nike Air Max 1, and I think if you're a fan of football in any sense, soccer, not American football, or Liverpool, or even LeBron James, or even just this color scheme, it's a pretty easy pickup. Now with that being said, it is a little bit more expensive than standard Nike Air Max 1s. It's $180, which is not cheap, and at the same time, it's not something that I think everyone will love. So even though it's probably going to be a limited release, I do think this shoe will probably end up sitting on shelves. And then finally rounding off March 4th, we've got the Air Jordan 5 University Blue. So this has actually been a pretty highly anticipated pair of Air Jordan 5s. While 5s are not the most popular Air Jordan models, they are up there, but they're not at the very top. It's still a shoe that I think a lot of people are looking forward to, probably because of the UNC color scheme. The shoe comes in a light blue suede accented by black and white hits, and overall it's a very clean pair of Air Jordan 5s. The one detail I don't love though is the jersey accent on the heel instead of a Jumpman logo. I feel like that's always just a little bit too much going on the back of the shoe, but regardless, it doesn't seem to bother some people, and it's still going to be a popular release, so for that reason, giving this shoe a sell. The resale on this shoe isn't going to be crazy, and you probably will still be able to find straggler pairs of these at your local Foot Locker, but most pairs will probably sell out on release day, and that's why we're giving it a sell rating. Then we move on to March 7th, and on March 7th we've got the Nike Air Max 97 Golden Bullet. This shoe is one of those classic Air Max colorways, especially for the Air Max 97. The shoe comes in almost entirely metallic gold, accented by a red Nike swoosh, and of course a white midsole. It's definitely not as popular as the Silver Bullets, which actually just re-released a couple months ago, but it's still one of the most popular Nike Air Max 97s, and because of that, I do think there's going to be some hype around it. At the same time though, the Silver Bullets didn't sell out, they're the more popular shoe, and because of that, while I think this shoe will sell well, I don't think it's going to completely sell out because I'm sure there's going to be like hundreds of thousands of pairs, and so for that reason, I'm giving this classic, iconic Nike Air Max 97 a sit. And you should definitely know this by now, but just because the shoe sits or is given a sit rating does not mean it's a bad sneaker. In fact, some of my favorite sneakers of all time were sitters. This is just like that. It's a great sneaker, but I just don't think the hype is there. And then following up that not so hyped up release with probably one of the most hyped up releases of not only the month, but possibly the year, we've got the Tiffany Nike Air Force 1 Low 1837. So I literally just dropped a review of this shoe yesterday. If you guys want to check that out, there will be a link at the top of the screen, but this is a shoe that I genuinely think will go down as one of the wildest collaborations of recent times. And not because it's a wild looking sneaker, because it's not. It's like a black suede Air Force 1 with some Tiffany Nike swooshes and some silver on the heel. It's because it's a collaboration with a brand like Tiffany. Now, Nike has done shoes that are Tiffany themed in the past, but they were never official Tiffany collaborations. And because of that, I think there's going to be a lot of hype behind this shoe, even though it's a $400 sneaker at retail, and to buy some of the silver accessories, it's like an extra couple $100 per accessory, which is stupid in my opinion, but it is what it is. Now, I'm not going to go into any more detail about this shoe because if you guys want to learn more about these Tiffany Nike Air Force 1 Lows, I definitely recommend checking out that review because I went into depth for like 14 minutes about all the tiny little details in the shoe that make it so interesting. But overall, I'd say if I can grab a pair in my size, which I wasn't able to for resale, I'm not gonna lie, I spent like $1,400 on that shoe. It was $1,600 with shipping and tax. That's ridiculous. Probably shouldn't have told you guys that. It was insane, and I'm giving away a pair on Whatnot in the next couple weeks, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But I spent a lot of money for these early reviews, guys. So I hope you enjoy them. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. But with all that being said, I do think this shoe is gonna be incredibly popular, and for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a sell. I really do think it's a great sneaker. It's a sleeper, I think, for some people because of how simple it is, but if I can grab a pair for retail in my size, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm entering that draw too whenever it drops, if it's a draw. I'm not sure if it's gonna be a draw or a release yet, but either way, I'm trying to grab a pair for myself. Continuing on to March 8th, we've got the Nike SB Blazer Low Dayen collaboration. So this shoe is a collaboration with European skateboarding brand Dayen. At least that's how Google told me to pronounce it. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. Let me know in the comment section down below if you know. But as you guys can tell, this is a skateboarding shoe because it's a Nike SB Blazer, which means it's a Nike skateboarding blazer. Some people will say SB stands for other things, but it stands for skateboarding. The shoe comes in a cream canvas upper accented by sort of a light rust Nike swoosh, and of course this really interesting sort of marbled outsole, which I love. And all around, it's a very clean and simple Nike SB Blazer Low. I feel like we haven't gotten Nike SB Blazer Lows in a really long time. It's been probably a couple years, at least from what I can remember. Now, what's interesting about this release for me in terms of how the sneaker will do overall, I think that there is a possibility that this shoe could sell out because it's a Nike SB. At the same time, because it's not a dunk, it might not have the same SB weight. So for that reason, I'm not sure exactly what to say. I think this shoe will be limited, so because of that, I'm gonna lean towards sell, but I do think there is a possibility that it could end up sitting for a couple hours on the sneakers app. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna give it a sell and hope that that's the case, because otherwise I'll be wrong, and that would suck. I'm wrong a lot, but I don't make videos telling you guys if I'm wrong or not, so you guys don't know unless you do your own research. Also dropping on March 8th, we've got the women's Air Jordan 2 Low Gym Red Dark Powder Blue. So according to sneaker blogs, the nickname for this shoe is UNC to Chicago, I'm assuming because of the blue and the red. However, when you look at the sneakers app, it says something like apple pie and blue jeans and something about the shoe being about classic Americana and American history. I'm not sure exactly what to think about this shoe or what the inspiration behind the shoe is, but either way, it's a very clean, primarily white Air Jordan 2. Even though there's like blue and red hits on the shoe, that's definitely not the dominant color on the shoe. The dominant color is like bright white leather, which makes the shoe pretty clean overall. I mean, it's gonna get dirty very easily, so literally not that clean, at least not after you wear it. But either way, clean looking pair of women's Air Jordan 2s. I know Jordan 2s are making a big comeback right now because Jordan Brand is pushing the hell out of them, but it's a solid silhouette, and if you haven't tried a pair of 2s yet, I definitely recommend it. Preferably the Air Jordan 2 highs because they have more padding around the ankle area. The 2s just don't have an ankle area, so, or at least a high ankle area, so you won't really get that same padded feel, but either way, very comfortable shoe, worth checking out. And even though this release is gonna be somewhat limited compared to standard Jordan releases, I don't think it's gonna be impossible to get. So because of that, I am gonna give this shoe a sit. However, I do think if you haven't tried a pair of Air Jordan 2s, maybe check these out because these are very clean. Oh, according to the sneakers app, the tagline for this shoe is redefine your own American dream in the footsteps of greatness. So it is definitely an American themed shoe, which, hey, kind of surprised they didn't drop this in the summer or like around 4th of July or something like that, but they didn't. So odd choice, but hey, you know what? I'm here for it. It's a nice looking shoe. It's also pretty crazy to me how even the Chicago Air Jordan 2s from last year are below retail. Like every pair of Air Jordan 2s is going for below retail a month or two after release. Even the J Balvins, the Unions, all of these are like really, really great shoes that I think just aren't getting enough credit. The same thing with the 14s. The 2s are just a really great sneaker. Shoot, even the Off-White 2. I mean, it's not going for below retail, but it's going for like $300, the black colorway. The white colorway is going for $645. I spent $900 on my pair, so that might have been a mistake. Then moving on to March 9th, we've got one release, which is the women's Nike Dunk Low Black Suede. As you could have guessed, this is a women's Nike Dunk Low with black suede accents. It's got sort of a light tan or cream colored base color underneath the black suede and then sort of a yellow colored Nike swoosh. Very clean sneaker, definitely something that I think a lot of people will be interested in. It's sort of like an elevated Panda Dunk, I guess in some way. It's not exactly the same, but it definitely features some of the same paneling and color blocking. I think it's a very clean shoe, and I think if you're looking for a pair of Nike Dunk Lows and you've got smaller feet or you're a woman and you can grab these, I say go for it. Very clean sneaker, and it's probably gonna sell out because I think a lot of people are gonna be hyped up on this colorway. And I know I said earlier the Dunks are not as popular as they used to be. They're definitely not. I do think there is gonna be some hype behind this shoe, and it's a very clean colorway. So for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a sell. And then we move on to March 11th and one of the most hyped up sneaker releases of the entire year. And that, of course, is the Air Jordan 3 White Cement Reimagined. Now, I know it's early, and I know it's crazy to say this early in the year, like 2 months in, but for me, the White Cement 3 Reimagines are most likely gonna be my sneaker of the year. And that's mainly because It's one of the most classic Air Jordan 3s of all time. It's an OG colorway, and the treatment that they added to this shoe to give it sort of that aged midsole and heel tab, while it's not probably everyone's favorite because it seems a little corny, at the same time it does look really good on the shoe. And it's just a classic Air Jordan 3 that I think people have been waiting for since 2011. I mean, we've had some versions of it released, but not a true Air Jordan 3 white cement in a while, so very excited about this. Plus, it also comes in the original Air Jordan 3 shape. They've recut the shoe to make it much closer to the original shoe than the newer versions of Air Jordan 3s that have dropped over the last couple years, similar to what they're doing with the Air Jordan 185s. So you've got that going on too. The packaging is awesome with the sneaker. It comes in this aged box. It's very similar to the Air Jordan 1s that just released, the Lost and Founds. I just think it's awesome. I just think everything about this shoe is awesome. They should be releasing a bunch of them, so it shouldn't be impossible to get, but at the same time, even though they're releasing a bunch of them, it's going to be the most popular shoe, or one of the most popular shoes of the year. So it's going to be pretty difficult to get if you're not like on the ball. And I think resale even is going to be kind of stupid. I think even after release, you're going to be paying like $350, $400 for it. It's going to be similar to the Lost and Found ones. So if you want this pair of shoes, be on your game. I should also say that I've already done a full review on this sneaker. If you guys want to check that out, there will be a link at the top of the screen. Again, I won't go into any more detail about this shoe because I already did a full video on it, so seriously check it out if you haven't yet. But really, really awesome sneaker, and one that is absolutely going to sell out. I'm just stoked for it. I would love to get a pair for retail. I paid a lot of money for that pair behind me, and I'd like to have another pair for a lot cheaper. Moving on to March 14th, we've got the Nike Dunk High Faded Spruce. So this shoe is definitely understated, but it's actually incredibly clean. The upper of the shoe comes in a black leather, accented by a dark sort of forest green, or I guess faded spruce suede. The midsole of the shoe comes in a slightly aged or light cream color, accented by a green outsole. And I know Dunk Highs aren't as popular as Dunk Lows, but there's something about this colorway that just looks better on a Dunk High. I feel like if I saw this shoe on a Dunk Low, it wouldn't really hit the same. This high hits really, really nice, and it's something that I think I'd love to pick up if I could find it in store. Now, what's interesting about this release is that I think it will probably sell out on the sneakers app, but you might still be able to find pairs of these at like local Nike stores or maybe even Foot Lockers after release. So for that reason, I'm gonna give this shoe a sell because I think online it will sell out, but you shouldn't have too hard of a time trying to find these in store a couple days after the drop. Continuing on to March 18th, we've got the Air Jordan 1 Skyline. So at first glance, this shoe just looks like a gradient canvas Air Jordan 1, fading from like an orange on the heel to a blue on the toe. But when you learn the story behind the shoe, it's actually a little bit more interesting than that. So the inspiration of this colorway is the sky behind Michael Jordan in that iconic Jumpman photo. And because of that, I think this shoe is a lot more interesting than it initially looks. Styling wise, I feel like this shoe is going to be a little bit harder to rock because of the colors used and the gradient used, but it's still a pretty clean sneaker, and one that, while I probably won't pick it up personally, I think a lot of people will be relatively hyped on it. Unfortunately though, because the gradient panels on the upper of the shoe come in canvas or some sort of fabric-like material, I don't think the hype behind this shoe will be as crazy as it would have been if it was a full leather shoe, but I still think there will be some interest there, and I still think this shoe will probably end up selling out. Continuing on to March 20th, we've got one of the most anticipated releases that we actually don't know that much about, and that's the Nike SB Air Jordan 4 Pine Green. Now obviously the Air Jordan 4 is the most popular Air Jordan model of the moment. Pretty much every colorway that releases sells out immediately and resells, and the fact that this shoe is a collaboration between Nike skateboarding or Nike SB and the Air Jordan 4 means that this shoe's hype is going to be probably off the charts, and most likely the shoe is also going to be very difficult to get and very limited. Based on early images of this shoe, it looks like the upper of the sneaker comes in white leather accented by a gray mudguard, and of course pine green hits around the sneaker like on the midsole and on the lace eyelets of the shoe, and it's definitely an incredibly clean pair of Air Jordan 4s, one that I will definitely be interested in and definitely be trying to go for. I actually think my favorite detail on the shoe is the pine green heel tab accented by the white text. It's a really clean look, and the shoe itself looks very, very wearable. I am also interested to find out what details of the shoe make it an SB. Does it have an air unit in the insole like Nike SB Dunk Lows? Is there something about this shoe that makes it more skateboarding than not? I'm not sure, but either way, I'm incredibly excited for this release, and I can't wait to learn more about this sneaker as we get closer to release. That being said though, it is supposed to drop on March 20th, so we're pretty close to release, like maybe 3 weeks out, so hopefully we learn more about this shoe in the near future, but we'll just have to wait and see. And I know when this shoe does actually drop, it's going to be very hyped up, and for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a sell. And then the final release that we're covering in today's video takes place on March 24th, and that's the Air Jordan 2 Low Craft. Like I said earlier, I know Air Jordan 2s are not that hyped up, but this shoe is very, very clean. It kind of has the Shelf Life Air Jordan 2 collab vibes to it. It comes in primarily white with some gray suede accents, some orange hits. It's a very, very clean sneaker, and I will definitely be trying to grab a pair of these for myself because these are super clean and super wearable. Apparently the official colorway name of this shoe is Melon Tint, which makes sense because you've got a melon colored tint on the shoe, or accent, I guess a light orange like a cantaloupe. But it's a super, super clean sneaker. The materials seem very solid. It's a craft version of the Air Jordan 2, which means it's supposed to look kind of like it's been thrown together from pieces found around the sneaker factory or whatever the case may be. And it's a dope looking sneaker. It's one that I think some people will be pretty hyped on. However, as we've seen with a lot of the Air Jordan 2s that have released recently, especially the Air Jordan 2 Lows, as we said earlier on in the video, I just don't think there's a lot of hype behind this shoe. So for that reason, I think this shoe might actually end up sitting on shelves. Which actually might be a good thing because you'll probably have a chance to grab this shoe for below retail a couple weeks after release, maybe at the outlet, maybe online, I'm not sure, but it's a great shoe to pick up. I think it's probably worth it. But that pretty much wraps up the video for today. If you guys want to check out some of my other videos, like maybe my Nike outlet hauls or my thrifting hauls, make sure to click some of the links on your screen. Otherwise, thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.